Power Over Parkinson's with the Pop Profile series. Today we have Joe DeRazio, who's volunteered his time to share his story with Parkinson's disease. To give you a little bit about Joe before we get started, he was a Pennsylvania native in Pittsburgh. He moved to Virginia in 1996, and his career spanned 32 years in the electrical utility industry. Joe held various positions of increasing responsibility through this time, from account manager to vice president of sales to operations and alliance manager. Joe officially retired in August of 2018, and he's also a person with Parkinson's disease. So Joe, thank you so much for being with us today.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Well, if you're ready to jump in, we'll get started.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Okay, so tell us, when were you diagnosed with Parkinson's disease?
I was diagnosed in June of 2018.
Okay. All right, and tell us a little bit about that journey and how you came to that diagnosis.
Well, my journey was a little unique. In 2015, I experienced a heating sensation down my right side of my leg.
Okay.
I was getting my annual physical, and I told the doctor about it, and he said, "You know what? We probably should send you for a spinal MRI."
Mm-hmm.
They did, and they found a lesion on my spinal cord.
Okay.
They said, "Well, you know what? You had a spinal tap, which I did when I was in my 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Probably should send you for a brain MRI," which I did go to that.
Mm-hmm.
After all that was completed, I saw a neurologist. He recommended me to see a neurologist who said I had multiple sclerosis.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Some of the symptoms for MS are similar to those of Parkinson's.
Mm-hmm.
So the next few years went on, and I just noticed, because my father had Parkinson's.
Okay.
And his feet would shuffle, his right arm had limited mobility. And I kept telling Karen, my wife, I said, you know, something just doesn't feel right here. I know I have MS,
Mm-hmm.
but I have Parkinson's too.
Mm-hmm.
So we got another opinion. We went to VCU and Dr. Snyder.
Okay.
And I was diagnosed with Parkinson's.
Okay.
And I could tell, because I lost the mobility in my right side,
Mm-hmm.
my right arm, my right hand. I was losing strength, and I was shuffling a little bit when I walked.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I came about finding out I had Parkinson's. So I actually had both. I have both MS and Parkinson's, and the MS is kind of stable right now.
Yeah.
So that's under control. So the main focus for me is my Parkinson's disease.
Okay. That's what you've been focusing on. Tell me, what was the gap between each diagnosis?
As far as time?
Yeah. How many?
February 2015 through June of 2018.
Okay.
About 3+ years.
Okay. Wow. And it sounds like, since you did have that family history, you were at least a little bit versed in the symptoms, so you could identify it a little bit better than, say, someone who doesn't know a lot about it and can't really pinpoint what's happening to them.
Absolutely.
Got
Absolutely. It. Yeah. Having that experience with my father was very important.
Yeah. Good. Well, how has, I know we touched on your retirement as of 2018. So can you tell us how your both diagnosis, Parkinson's and MS, affected your career, and kind of how you came to retirement, et cetera?
Sure. During my career, I did a lot of traveling,
Mm-hmm.
and we were bought and sold many times. So there was a lot of pressure, which in the job I had, there was a lot of pressure to perform and meet numbers all the time. So one of the things that I think the career job brought about was the pressure, the anxiety, the stress levels, which we all know are not good for.
Right.
Can cause different diseases.
Right.
So, when I got diagnosed with MS, I kind of tried to slow down a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I had Parkinson's disease, I said to Karen, I said, you know what, it's time to take a step back.
Yeah.
And really focus on my physical health.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what led to me being fortunate enough to be able to retire.
Mm-hmm.
Was very important, so that I could focus on my health aspect versus
Mm-hmm.
all the traveling and the pressures of the job, to be able to retire and then focus not just on my health.
Mm-hmm.
Very good, which has been excellent, actually.
What would be your advice for other folks having to navigate those probably very difficult conversations with your employer? So what would be a few pieces of advice to navigate those conversations?
Well, it was interesting, because when I was doing all the traveling and when I was diagnosed with MS and then Parkinson's, I basically told my employer I wanted to take a step back.
Mm-hmm.
do less traveling. I wanted more of an office type of job.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's important to have those kind of conversations with your employer to say, hey, I want to take that. This is what I'm faced with.
Mm-hmm.
Continue to work for a while, but this is what I need to do. I can't be traveling and being limited in my ability to approach it from a physical aspect.
Mm-hmm.
So I think having that communication with your employer is important. And then from there, taking the next step if you can to really to retire if you can, or work part time.
Yeah. Yeah. As we all know, those folks who are listening, certainly related to the Parkinson's aspect, your job almost becomes the physical activity. So if you're limited in that with your career, with travel, etc., you kind of have to reprioritize. So you have that time where you're not sitting in a plane or sitting in a meeting or just sedentary all day, because you have to focus on that physicality when you have Parkinson's and MS, certainly.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. How do you explain to others what it means to have Parkinson's disease?
Parkinson's disease to me is a slow approaching disease.
Mm-hmm.
It takes your mobility, your strength in certain areas away from you, but it happens over a progression of time. It doesn't come at you with one big punch. So
Mm-hmm.
it's been slow and progressing.
Mm-hmm.
The good thing about Parkinson's disease, though, is you can fight it.
Mm-hmm.
The activity, through the exercise, through the boxing with Rocksteady Boxing, through the pop
Mm-hmm.
event
Mm-hmm.
activity.
Mm-hmm.
So when I talk about Parkinson's, it's not that walloping disease that some people face, for example, like with cancer and things of that nature, but it's slow moving, but you got to really focus your time and attention to the activity piece and the exercise piece to fight it. And I
Mm-hmm.
think if you do that, you can maintain a balanced life
Mm-hmm.
and a good life.
Mm-hmm.
So that's when people ask me about Parkinson's, that's what I talk about. It's frustrating. It can,
Mm-hmm.
because you're so used to, I my right side has been impacted the most.
Yeah.
Losing that mobility to the right side gets frustrating at
Mhm.
times when you try to button your shirt or
Of
do
course.
different kind
Mm-hmm.
of the knife.
Yeah.
It's but it's a disease that can be attacked, and if you put the time into it, you can push it off.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would say to people that ask me about Parkinson's.
So 2 questions off of that. A, do you feel that folks kind of understand it, or do they still have that antiquated or more narrow view of Parkinson's disease in that it's solely a tremor and you should look like Michael J. Fox and nothing's really behind the scenes? Do you feel like folks kind of understand that, or do they have more of an antiquated view of it?
No, I think once you talk to people about it, I think they begin to understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, people that aren't familiar with an individual that has Parkinson's
Mm-hmm.
have an antiquated view,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, of Michael J. Fox or somebody with the tremors and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
A chance to have a discussion with someone and talk to them about when I talk to them about my symptoms, I think it gives them a different perspective.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So my other question off of what you said, you mentioned taking a little bit longer doing the buttoning on your shirts and just kind of these like daily tasks that might just be a little bit longer. So how do you manage that extra time? Do you plan more time in the morning? Talk to us and provide some advice on maybe those who are listening who are just trying to manage those things that are just taking a little bit longer.
Yeah. Patience.
Mm-hmm.
Patience is important.
Yeah. Patience with yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Don't get frustrated, but be patient and give that extra time. To your point, it's going to take me a little longer in the mornings to get ready with certain things like shaving and things of that nature. So I
Mm-hmm.
allow extra time to do it.
Yeah.
If I'm in a hurry and I need a shirt button, I do ask Karen.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice to be able to do that every so often, right? So that you segued into my next question perfectly. I've had the pleasure to meet your care partner, but talk to us a little bit about who your care partner is, your support person, and ultimately maybe a support team, and who you lean on and how you navigate this not alone.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Karen's definitely my support person, my care person. We've been married for 30 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
And our kids are older.
Mm-hmm.
Although my one son is back home from college now.
Mm-hmm.
He graduated Liberty, so he's around. But Karen's been the main caregiver. She's been very, very supportive.
Mm-hmm.
She challenges me. She pushes me.
That's great.
Go suck it up, Buttercup.
Yeah.
Good. And I
Yeah.
need that. I need
It's a good balance, right?
absolutely,
Mhm,
absolutely. So,
mhm,
and she's, for folks that know me, I'm a big golfer.
mhm.
Golf, so we'll be able
Yeah,
to go out golf together, walk 9 holes or 18 holes together.
that's great.
Uh, but yeah, she's been very supportive, very understanding, very,
Mhm.
and because it affects your partner.
Yeah,
Uh,
of
it
course.
definitely affects the partner. But she's been strong through it, kept me strong through it, and it's
Yeah,
been
yeah.
my one son that's home is my other person that
Mhm.
kind of wants to help out, so cut the grass and things like that. Although I
Okay.
don't like to put that up, I do like to do things like that.
Yeah.
But helps out when needed.
Okay.
And my other 2 kids are great too. They're very supportive, very understanding.
Mhm.
I'm not a late night person anymore, so they understand Dad's not going to be up till 11 o'clock or midnight.
Right. Right.
So,
That's
but
great.
yeah, very good family, very supportive family.
That's fantastic. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. So how do you stay cognitively focused and challenged? We all, like I touched on earlier, Parkinson's isn't just a visible thing. There's an array of non-visible or invisible things to other people that people don't necessarily see from a cognition standpoint, memory standpoint. So tell me how you stay focused and challenged in that area.
A couple things. One is, believe it or not, golf is exercise, but golf is very mental.
Yeah.
Uh, the approach to the game of golf and going on a golf, reading putts and focusing, and golf is where your shots are and thinking through your shots and
Hmm.
what's the next shot you're going to make. So I
Hmm.
think, and I play with guys that we go out in early in the morning, and it's the camaraderie with the guys as well, and the
Hmm.
conversation we have, and talking about different things in our lives and aspects in our lives kind of keeps that brain working. You
Hmm.
know, thing is my faith, and I do a lot
Yeah.
of reading of scripture, and
Mhm.
part of a small group, so sometimes leading small group and preparing for that. So those are the things that kind of have kept my mind engaged and focused.
Definitely. I was gonna touch on joke a little bit about golf being a mental game and
It is.
a game of patience, right? So you're a lot of self talk and keeping your patience, right? And keeping your clubs in your hand and not whacking anything.
It,
That's
I
great.
have, when I play bad, I can say it's because I have Parkinson's.
Oh, exactly.
I think Aaron goes, that doesn't work that way.
Yeah, it's all selective. It's like when you don't get into the parking spot, exactly, right? You can pull out your Parkinson's card, as we know. My dad Gary does.
Yeah.
Um, so moving on, uh, pre-COVID-19, talk to us a little bit about what your workout regimen was.
Well, it did include golf and boxing, the rock steady boxing, going and hitting the heavy bag and the speed bags,
Yeah.
uh, doing a lot of walking. Karen and I do a lot of walking through our neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the pop events, the activity events that we participated in.
Yep.
So, between golf and boxing and the walking,
Mm-hmm.
uh, stay active. I enjoy cleaning my cars. For those who know Rocksteady, I definitely like to drive around in a clean car. So I kind of do that as exercising too,
Great.
when
Yeah.
and doing yard work,
Yeah.
out in the yard, just
Yeah.
staying active. It's been my regiment before.
Okay. So I like that you, if I can, before I jump into the next question, I like that you touched on something that wasn't necessarily deemed exercise. So to kind of give people the idea that it doesn't need to look like a treadmill or an official workout class, just to stay active. Just walking, washing your car, just moving in some way is always better than just being sedentary. So, and it doesn't need to look like a gym or a workout class or a treadmill. So
Absolutely.
that was
Absolutely.
great. You touched on that. Well, tell us how your workout regimen has been now that you're home and isolated and we're all social distancing. So how has it been affected and what are you doing now to stay active?
Well, stay active, golf.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think I mentioned to you earlier, Governor Northern, whenever he came on TV and was talking about what he was going to keep open and close, we had our fingers crossed that
Oh
golf
yeah. Yeah.
closed off.
Yeah.
So the fact that that was kept open, to be able to mornings and play 9 or 18, and we walk with a push cart, so that's great exercise.
Yeah.
Uh, the online classes that Pop offers and Rocksteady offers, the Zoom classes
Mm-hmm.
are fantastic. I mean, we're not hitting the heavy bag or the
Right.
speed bag. We're still
Mm-hmm.
doing a lot of those exercises, and those are great workouts. I mean, they really push you. They push you hard.
Mm-hmm.
Really not a lot of downtime between exercises.
Yeah.
Those have been very good. I appreciate the fact that you have put those online on Saturday, and we do it with JoJo, and then
Yeah.
Rocksteady Boxing is offered, and to keep things moving in that direction as well with the classes.
Yeah.
So those are the things that have kept me busy, and being able to walk outside. I mean,
Yeah.
continuing to do that, and so for me personally, outside of not hitting the heavy bag and speed bag, I'm still getting in my workouts. I'm still exercising
Mm-hmm.
and staying active.
Mm-hmm. I think two things on that: golf and walking, like you touched on. You're certainly getting the physicality, but you're also just getting a change of scenery, right? And you're also outside, and that probably goes so far with mental health too, right?
Yes, it does. Yes,
Yeah,
it does.
getting out of the house. So that's great. And then also regarding the Zoom calls, what we found I know Rocksteady Richmond's doing their calls, and Pop is doing those Zoom workouts every Saturday at 10 a.m. What we found is just the camaraderie, that it's not the same, but at least you can see each other's faces on the Zoom calls, and there's inherent benefits of those live workouts too. So it's fantastic doing that, and you're able to kind of talk a little bit probably before the class, and at least see each other's faces. So it's been a blessing to be able to
Yeah.
do that. Yeah.
Yes, very much so.
So it's been hard. It's certainly been hard, the quarantine on everybody, but tell me, what's been the hardest part about being quarantined as a person with Parkinson's disease?
I would say the interaction with my friends that I've made through Pop and Rocksteady Boxing, the fact that we aren't getting together on a regular basis and
Yeah.
interact. Your point, Zoom is good.
Mm-hmm.
Can't replace that face-to-face contact, that camaraderie
Right.
that you have whenever you're face-to-face and together. So I
Yeah.
think it's probably been the biggest thing being quarantined. The other thing, we like to go out to dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Karen and I go out to dinner. So not being able to do that is, it's one of our outlets that we have.
Right.
We haven't been able to do that. So that's kind of been a negative, although we get takeout, which is good, but still not the same as going out to a nice dinner and
Right.
relax in the company.
Right.
The other thing that the disease or the virus has caused, my son was getting married May 23rd.
Oh, no.
Wedding planned for him.
Oh
So
my goodness.
he and his fiance have pushed the celebration back a year,
Yeah.
but they're going to get married. The neat thing is we have a gazebo at the top of our street. So they're
Okay.
going to have a wedding in the gazebo on May 23rd, and then they're going
Oh,
to come back.
it's fantastic.
That's been another thing that
Yeah.
the,
I mean, it's not going to be the same, right? But turning lemons into lemonade, and the end game is that they're going to be married when they wanted to be married, right?
exactly. It's
So
exactly.
that's fantastic. Thank you for sharing that little tidbit. We'll keep them in mind on that date. That's exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's certainly one thing to keep you positive during all this stuff, but what's one thing you've done to remain positive during this time?
Um, I think it comes down to my faith.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a positive. I've always been a positive person.
Mm-hmm.
So personally, just having the disease. I've always said, people have it far worse than I do.
Yeah.
I'm with what I have,
Mm-hmm.
and even though we're quarantined, I still am able to get out and golf and enjoy
Mm-hmm.
the environment and nature.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I'm blessed with my family.
Mm-hmm.
So really, for me, the positive aspect of things is just all the blessings that I have.
Yeah.
I don't get. I'm not a negative person. I don't get down to it. And
Yeah.
Karen doesn't let me anyway. So even if I was,
Right. No one would listen anyways.
that's exactly. So, we're fortunate. We're fortunate to have what you and your dad are doing for Pop.
Yeah.
The support you guys are providing us and the time you give us and the activities. The boxing. My dad, as I mentioned, had it. My dad's passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Had it years ago, and I look back and I don't think these things were available to him.
Right.
So,
Right.
fast forward to 2020,
Yeah.
and things that we have access to
Hmm.
the disease and to live somewhat of a normal life.
Yeah.
So those are great things to be thankful for. So,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know,
I can attest to your positivity, because every time I've seen you at any event, you're always smiling. So I can attest to those who are listening who might not know you. You are the person who's always smiling. So, and I think it's contagious, and I think it's also just a choice in your attitude. So I think it's fantastic, and I like that you've been able to share that. It's just a matter of being positive and keeping things relative, right?
absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you for sharing that. So tell me, if you could wave a magic wand, there's an array of symptoms for Parkinson's disease, and we know everyone's got a little bit different experience with it. But what would be one thing that you'd have researchers saw, one symptom that you'd like to eliminate today, if you could?
That's a great question. That's a great question because, like you said, there are different symptoms and things. I
Mm-hmm.
would say mobility,
Mm-hmm.
uh, the balance issues.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, one thing that I would want them to come up with something that would, for me, my balance. I want to lean forward at times and
Mm-hmm.
never fall backwards. I'll
Mm-hmm.
tell people I'm around. And you may think I was drinking, but I really wasn't drinking prior to the get
Yeah.
together.
Yeah. My
Like
father has said the same thing. It's like you almost want to say, I haven't been drinking, right? It's
that,
it emulates it a little too closely where you want to explain yourself sometimes.
exactly. So that would be the one thing I want them to come up with a cure for that part of it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, tell me, I know my family has, and I can talk about my own silver linings with this diagnosis of my father, but what has been your experience with any silver linings as a result of your diagnosis?
The fact that I got out of the work environment and
Hmm.
focused,
Yeah.
and doing so, it's opened up doors of spending time with people, spending
Yep.
more time with Aaron, and
Yep.
focusing on my health.
Hmm.
It's been great, and I've been blessed to meet folks like your dad and you, and all the folks at Rocksteady. Made some great new friends and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's the blessing. That's the silver lining of it, right there.
Well, it's not an ideal way to recalibrate. It's a way to recalibrate, and you kind of reassess your priorities.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's
That's
well, Joe. That does it for me. If you have anything else to share.
no. I appreciate the time. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me. And like I said, I appreciate what you're doing. You and your
Yeah.
dad are doing some great things for Parkinson's, and it's greatly appreciated.
Oh, well, I keep saying it's my pleasure, and it's been so easy because we just kind of jumped in and met you all, and I feel like it's just one big community, and everyone's been excited about it, and we all share the enthusiasm. So it's been so easy to be able to just schedule events here and there because you guys are all so excited about it, and everyone seems to just really love one another's company. So it's been our pleasure.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Margaret. Have a
Thank
great day.
All right, you too.
Thank you.